Recently, I was talking to some friends of mine who were talking about, especially when it got really cold here, it was definitely time, since you couldn't go outside, to get out the Christmas decorations. Now, like many people, they have a lot of their items that they use on an infrequent basis, or Christmas decorations just on an annual basis, up in the attic. And they have one of those attics where you have to pull down the steps, and then you go up and down the steps, which is fine if you're trying to get yourself up and down, but not great if you have anything in your hands, let alone your arms. Even worse is up in the attic with several of these plastic bins of their Christmas decorations, which they're big enough, to hold a lot of stuff, which makes them heavier. So as they're dragging them down, they said, this is the last year we're going to do this. We need to have a different plan. We need to find some space in our house, not in the attic, to store some of these items. Which also meant it was time, after accumulating a lot of these decorations, to either throw them away or donate them. So then they had this dilemma as they started going through these items. Because you know that especially those kind of things have lots of memories attached to them. They could be something that was really ugly when you got it 20 years ago from somebody who made it by hand. And then it's almost crumbling, but it's hard to let those things go. So how do you figure out what to hold on to and what to let go of? Throughout this Advent season, we've been gifted by hearing the words and the ministry of Isaiah the prophet. He's a great minister to us, a great model, a great messenger, because everything he says has a tone of hope to it. And today's passage is no exception. He's talking to Ahaz. Now, Ahaz is the king of Judah, and he's in Jerusalem, the capital city, and they're getting attacked and squeezed by neighboring nations, but particularly the Aramites from Syria. And he wants to go into an alliance with the Assyrians, which is coming from another direction, who have a little bit more military might and resources to stave off this enemy. And Isaiah is saying to him, don't do that. Don't go in alliance with these people. Instead, rely on God. And Ahaz says, no, I'm not going to ask for a sign. Now, it's not saying like he's super humble or anything. It's just like he really doesn't just want to hear anything from Isaiah. Really, he doesn't want to hear from God. And Isaiah says to him, no, trust in God. And he will send a sign. And the virgin will give birth to a child, and that will be God who is close to you, Emmanuel, the God who is with us. Now, the scholars think that part of what Isaiah was talking about, the word virgin can also be translated young woman. And he did have a son, Hezekiah, who was the king after him and continued the line. And if he would have trusted the Lord, things probably would have worked out okay for him and for his people. But this is what happens, and Ahaz is a cautionary tale for all of us who like to hold on to things a lot and think maybe we even know better than God, and maybe giving him the space and trusting in him. See, Ahaz decides to go into alliance with the Assyrians, and it doesn't go well. Because the Assyrians are like, okay, we'll help you out. And then they proceed to help themselves to some of the resources of the land for themselves. And then Ahaz says, oh, well, I better better up my allegiance to them. And he starts plundering the various treasuries, including that of the temple, hands over a lot of the riches, and the Assyrians are like, thank you very much, and they continue to do their own thing. Doesn't help at all. And so then Ahaz decides, well, I'm going to make offerings to the gods of the Aramites, the Assyrians, because they're very powerful. They're overtaking us, so they must be the gods to make sacrifices for. And then he puts altars all around the kingdom for that. And you can imagine how that went, being unfaithful to God. The kingdom collapsed. Ahaz dies an early death. And we learn from him. Maybe not to such an extreme. But when we are unable to let things go and let God do what God wants to do in our life and give him the space, then things don't turn out too well for us if we don't follow the Lord. But if we give God that space, if we learn, and I don't know if you noticed in that opening prayer, I mean, we're in the Advent season getting ready for Christmas, and we're still talking about the passion and the resurrection of the Lord. You see, when we're following Jesus intently, it's always about dying and rising, dying and rising. And part of that letting go, part of that dying, is allowing God the space to do new things in our life. I think this time of year, whether it's decorations and all those tangible things of the holidays, of the season, and certainly our memories that can be attached to those physical items. It's the memories that oftentimes we cling to. We're afraid to let go not just those items, but the memories, because they elicit in us, oftentimes, with a little bit of the fog of the present as the past gets farther away. They carry for us that nostalgia, that good feeling that like somehow life was pretty good when I was younger, when these people were in my life, when these conditions were happening around us. And that was the gift of those moments. And we'll never really live life to its fullest if we can cling to the memories. And so one of the things that my friends learned to do was to literally pray over their Christmas decorations, especially the ones that they knew that probably they're going to have to let go, to allow the memories to come forth, to ask God, do I still need to hold on to this? And whatever the case was, to give thanks for those memories from the past, to make them a little bit of a gift in the present. And then they said it was a lot easier to let things go, which made not only a lot more space in their home, but they feel like they're much more at peace and ready to celebrate Christmas this year. This is the ongoing reminder of the Advent season. This is really the ongoing dynamic of our faith. When we follow Jesus and give him the space, he will ask us to let things go. Oftentimes, because if not, there's not space for something new to be birthed in our lives and for us to receive it fully. So, we take the example of Ahaz and not try to cling so much to what we think will make things work out. And instead, we take the position of Joseph, who had these plans with Mary and was told it was going to be something different. And even if we don't always understand or know what's coming, we give our fundamental yes to God and allow that space for Jesus to come into our lives. Remember, his name is Emmanuel, not just God who may be with us in the future or only in the past. His name is Emmanuel, the God who is now with us.